Got a little from the sharpening bench video for you guys this evening. Oh, isn't it pretty? I believe that's a folding Bowie from Spyderco. Been waiting for this for a long time. Stick around, my friends. We will talk about it. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 31 May 2015, and oh man, was I glad to get this knife in for sharpening. This is the Spyderco Slysz Bowie, the C186 TIP, and man is it special. And it's special for a couple reasons, I think. First of all is that it's a Bowie, and if you guys are Bowie knife fans, clip point blade fans like I am, you know that they are rare to non-existent in the Spyderco line. Why? Because there is great difficulty coming up with a classic Bowie profile with a flat spine and a clip and accommodating a Spydie hole with no hump. Pretty hard to put a hump in a Bowie knife and have it still be a Bowie knife, isn't it? Well, designer Marcin Slysz, the designer of the Spyderco Techno as well, seems to have figured out a way to do it. It is not without its compromises, and we will talk about those as we roll on in the video. Let me get this box out of the way. But all in all, a pretty cool knife, I got to say. The Slysz Bowie is produced by Spyderco Knives out of Carpenter's CTS XHP steel in the Taichung, Taiwan plant. Never a bad thing, my friends, never a bad thing. Its construction, in addition to that CTS XHP blade, is pretty interesting because it's 2015. This knife released this year. I think I remember seeing prototype videos of it late 2014. This knife reminds me of a sales seminar I went to some years ago with a car dealership consultant with a huge ego and a great wit, and he said at the beginning of the meeting, he addressed us all of his students who had paid for his wisdom, and he said, "Hey, why didn't you all invite me to the meeting?" We all looked at him with puzzlement, and he said, "Really, why didn't you invite me to the meeting?" And he goes, "You know what meeting I'm talking about. The one where you all got together and decided to quit doing all the stuff that worked." Yeah, sometimes the folding knife industry is guilty of such conduct. Well, guess what, my friends? No such problem with the Spyderco Slysz Bowie. We've got a Reeve integral lock, aka titanium frame lock, crafted of 6AL4V titanium with a nicely jimped G10 backspacer, screwed together with pivot barrels locating 1, 2, 3 areas at the back of the blade, followed by a one-sided pivot, D-shaped. Although it doesn't look D-shaped, the show scale side does not move. Don't bother putting a wrench in it, guys. I'm sorry, the lock side doesn't move. This is the side you will unscrew to disassemble or adjust. We've got one beefy stop pin. We have a non-inserted, non-carbidized, but perfectly behaving lock interface. Locks up at about 70% with excellent contact. I mean, excellent contact. And guys, that's where these seem to lock up. I'd like to tell you most of them don't, but most of them do from what I've seen. However, I haven't heard any reports of them over traveling or wearing to the point where that deep engagement becomes a problem, much like a Chris Reeve Savenza. In fact, I suspect that this lock bar, although not carbidized, not carbide plated, I got a suspicion that it is carburized, like a Chris Reeve lock bar, because there's not a hint of any stick. There's no grittiness. There's no galling. You know what? It's just basic, old school titanium frame lock technology, riding on phosphor bronze washers. Oh, by the way, on phosphor bronze washers, no ball bearings. Did you see that free dropping action? And then we're going to come up here, not lock the knife, just rest it on the detent ball, check for side play. Oh, there's none. And we'll lock him up and check for vertical play. There's none. There are no ball bearings, no funky 18 pieces in the pivot, just phosphor bronze, steel, and titanium. And look at that action, would you? Frankly, titanium frame lock, Taichung production, washers, reversible tip up wire clip, deep carry variety. Does this remind you guys of anything? Except stone-washed finish versus satin and sandblasted. The knife is kind of like a restyled, larger Sage 2. How can that be a bad thing? I was so excited that this knife was coming out last year. If you guys know me well, you know that I love the Bowie. I love the Bowie, and I have always yearned for Spyderco to make a Bowie folder. And about the same time last year, this knife was sort of unveiled in a prototype way. About the same time as its stablemate, also out of the Taichung factory, the Shemp Bowie, the ethnic American, which, apologies to Toad Sticker, is the ugliest Spyderco folding knife I've ever seen in my life. I just cannot get past its horrible aesthetics. Functional though it may be, it just trying to emulate a cross guard in the handle of a folding knife in that way, just it's horrible. This knife, much more sleek, much more faithful to Spyderco ergonomics, I think. It's pretty cool. Now, I said earlier in the video that there is a compromise made for the lack of a hump with this Spydie hole. And this is it. For a left-hander with the thumb, you will not open that knife. Can't be done. You must middle finger or forefinger Spydie flick it, which is pretty enjoyable. I was so dejected when I saw this view of the knife, because I was falling in love with it. When I saw that I couldn't open it with my left thumb, I kind of wrote it off. So I was pretty happy to get one in for sharpening, because I got to experience these ergonomics with the left hand, and I kind of like the Spydie flick anyway. So I'm not really going to write this knife off as a potential future purchase. And frankly, guys, if you're a right-hander, yes, you have thumb access any way you want it. But guess what you can't do? You can't Spydie flick it. So it is what it is. This is the price we pay to have this profile. You know, could you take some material out of that lock bar? Don't know if you want to. We're going to leave this the way Marcin made it, or designed it. Let's talk about some dimensions, shall we? Let me pull up my data. We have a knife that in total is 7.79 inches long with a blade length of 3.42 inches, a handle length of 4.37. Yes, less than 1 inch difference in length between blade and handle. Very efficient blade to handle ratio. Cutting edge length 3.14 inches and a properly done choil. Just a sharpening notch in this one, not a forward finger choil. But look, 90-degree plunge grind, sharpening notch, then we start the edge. That's perfectly done. Great job, Marcin, for specifying that. Most Spydercos have that sort of 90-degree plunge, and then, you know, well, here, let's take a look. Here's a Manix 2. That's how that usually looks. You got to really get in there and dig at it with your stone when you sharpen it to take out a little curvature. And this is one that I've sharpened. And it's work, and it's hard on your stones. It's much nicer, I think, to have a properly done notch. See how nice that is? Just perfect. The blade stock is 3.5 millimeters, or about 138 thousandths. Looks like the titanium slabs are a little less, maybe 1/8 of an inch. The weight on this thing, 4.3 ounces. Not horrible. And frankly, it doesn't feel that heavy. It's a very light feeling knife. The balance point is a little far back. You know, the index finger wants to be right up here behind the guard in this front groove. The balance point is right here, right in the middle of the thumb axis. So it's a little butt heavy, which makes it feel lively in hand. You know, forward of the finger groove, that feels like there's nothing there, so it's very quick. Ground nicely thin behind the edge. And guys, I got to hand it to the fellas in Taichung once again. The fit and finish on this knife, absolutely impeccable. I can't find a defect. I just can't. The consistency and symmetry of the grinds are superb. We have a spine that starts out flat where it's straight, and then in the clip area it is beautifully crowned. Take a look. And look at the quality of this stonewash. Just beautiful on the blade and on the handle. This is the kind of stonewash that Spyderco does in the Taiwan plant, much like on the Domino. It is nearly impervious to wear, you know, from anything from car keys to rings to change your keys or your change in your pocket. It just holds up superbly, camouflages almost every kind of wear. Nicely thin blade. This is sharpened at my usual geometry, 15 degrees per side secondary bevel with about a 19-degree micro, facilitating quick, easy touch-ups on the Spyderco Sharp Maker. And I have not measured this behind the edge. Let's go ahead and do that. Talk amongst yourselves. Jeopardy music plays in the background. I'm having trouble getting a reading. About 25 thousandths, guys. Thick behind the edge. Not quite Gale Bradley thin, but thin enough for a general purpose utility / tactical knife. Let's talk about the ergonomics of this blade. The saber grip, pretty good, although I don't know why Spyderco does this from time to time. Sometimes we just get almost non-functional jimping, and this borders on that. It just, well, it's not Sebenza jimping, although it looks kind of like it. Just doesn't really afford much of a grab. It's not too bad, I guess, but I like it to be better since the rest of the handle is so slippery and there's no structure really keeping the hand from going forward. Just a very slight finger guard at the bottom of the handle. And the one of those Pub Ninja grip, the overhand grip, not super comfortable actually. My hand is kind of searching for what to do in that grip. Hammer grip, very comfortable. Draw cut grip, very comfortable. Reverse grip, really good. And that jimping on the G10 backspacer is functional. It's really grabby without being sharp or uncomfortable. This handle, guys, although it looks sort of devoid of any features or topography, it is 3D machined. It swells in the middle. It's just very uniform. Shoulders of the knife are a little bit sharp, maybe some hot spots. All in all, it's a handsome knife. It's adequately ergonomic. And it's really, really precisely machined and finished. Is it fast? Oops. Is it fast? Yeah, it's fast. It's kind of cool. Now, how are they priced? Well, guys, they're in the mid 200s. You know, what's a Sage? 170, 175? Sage 2. Is this $80 or $90 more knife? Boy, I don't know. I was thinking maybe 30 or 40. I'd like to see this knife come in about 200, 210. I really would. Especially since I've got kind of one option for opening. Let's see if it got sharp though. That wasn't very good. Yeah. Yep, it's pretty sharp. If I get my angle right, you almost can't hear it. Will I buy one? That's hard for me to say. Here's, I guess my answer to this is, if I see one that's really nice that somebody needs to sell, and it's far less than the MSRP, maybe. I love my spider holes. I don't like having one and not being able to get at it with my thumb though. Can I get the knife open quickly? Yes, but it would bother me not to be able to open a Spyderco with my thumb. I don't know, that lock bar is pretty thin to think about taking any material out of. But I got a feeling guys who buy this are going to overlook that and love it anyway. I think right-handers are really going to enjoy this, and they won't care that they can't Spydie flick it. They might care, but they'll still like it. I don't blame them either. I like it. I just wish they wouldn't tease us lefties with a lefty clip mount without a lefty hole access. But I do like the knife a lot. Thought you guys would like to see it before I send it home. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember the word and some Spyderco XHP are sharp.